Welcome back to That Dad Guy. It's July the 2nd, 2022, the day after Canada Day, and it's the day I answer your questions. So those of you who asked me questions in my last That Dad Guy Answers last Saturday, today's the day I answer those questions. So there are a few, so I'll be glad to get to them. And it's also that other special day that I've been talking about on and off for quite some time now. So excited about that. I won't get into it again. I know you're probably tired of hearing it, but I'm going to go meet some people up at the park. Put them together. All right, so post-crossing day for sure. Let's start with the first question. The first one comes from Basil, and I didn't realize originally when he put the question out to me that it was one of my That Dad Guy Answers questions. I didn't see the videos attached to it, so I wrote something at the bottom in response to it, but I'm going to answer it anyways because you guys maybe don't read all the questions either. So it says, what is the typical activity that one does to celebrate Canada Day? So yesterday, July 1st, was the 155th birthday of Canada, and typical things that we do, especially in my area at least, are there are festivals that are going on downtown in the downtown core. So we have concerts of different performers, usually one big headliner at the end, probably someone that is relatively well known, and then a whole bunch of smaller acts that will lead up to him. Now this year in Moncton, it was Colin James. For those of you who don't know, Colin James has been in the music industry in Canada for quite some time, so he's a pretty big act, but we haven't seen much from him recently, so it was nice to kind of have him back out and doing his stuff. He has a new album out. So that goes on. There are food trucks downtown. There is face painting. People will show up in their red and white. I have red, white, yellow, and black on, but things that say Canada. They might have cowboy hats that are red and white, or they might have bandanas or something on their head. Sometimes in the evening they got little sparklers and things with maple leaves that are for sale down there. Yeah, and then it all culminates into fireworks. So there's usually a big fireworks display over the Petitcodiac River in the downtown core, and we were down that way. We didn't stay for the fireworks this year, but we went out for a drive, which was kind of nice, and a little bit of hike until it was kind of mosquito-y. That's kind of what we did. We did some adventuring on some back roads and took a few pictures, so I enjoyed that. Then we ended up going down to the downtown core to see what was going on, maybe find a food truck or something, and there were a lot of people. There's a lot of people wanting to celebrate where they haven't been able to the last couple of years. So we ended up leaving and going off. My son did come back and go downtown with his girlfriend and friends, so they enjoyed that. And I've seen lots of pictures, and lots of other people enjoyed being downtown, but my wife and I kind of enjoyed being home. And so that's what we did. So that's Canada Day festivities here, and barbecuing and that sort of stuff too happens. We noticed that when I was out driving, there's people out by rivers and things like that with little portable barbecues going, and some beverages, and just enjoying time with friends. So happy Canada Day. All right, next question comes from Wendy here in Canada, and she said, the Rib Fest reminded me of your ribs that are liked by one and all. Thank you, Wendy. How would your family rate your ribs to the ones you've had at the Rib Fest? I guess you'd have to ask my family that question. I certainly really enjoy the sauces that are at Rib Fest. There was 5 ribbers this year, and we tried 2 of them. One of them, with Krabby's, we go back to every year because it is one of our favorites, and then we usually add in another one. This year we did Lone Rangers, which was one of my son's favorites. I would say the Lone Ranger ribs were meatier than Krabby's, but the Krabby sauce was better. As far as how they compared to mine, I would say mine fall off the bone more than theirs do. So you kind of have to cut into it. Mine, you can almost pull the bones out right away. And the second part, you said, what's your recipe for the ribs? No real secret recipe. What I tend to do is I tend to take the racks of ribs and put them in a pan and cover them in barbecue sauce, stick them in an oven at 225 degrees, and cook them there for about 5 hours. Then they're basically done when they come out of the oven. I turn on the barbecue, I put them on the barbecue, I slather them with barbecue sauce again, and maybe some brown sugar, and just basically put charcoal marks or the grill marks on the ribs, and then they're ready to go. So they come off nice and hot. They've got their barbecue marks on them, but the bones pull right out. So that's my recipe for ribs. and you picked the barbecue sauce that you like the best. So thank you, Wendy, and thanks for the compliment too. All right, the next one comes from Yulia in Russia, and she says, do you think choosing the perfect postcard for every person is an important part of the fun of postcrossing? I'll go into her next statement, I'll come back to it. It says, I've seen one guy's profile, and he's been sending one and the same card with the view of his city to Germany to absolutely everyone for the last few years. He sent a few thousand of identical postcards. I couldn't believe it when I saw it on his sent wall. What do you think of this way of sending cards to people? Well, first, I'll answer the first question, and we'll double back to the second one. So the first question was, do you think choosing the perfect postcard is important in the fun of postcrossing? I do, actually. So I like to look at what people are requesting for postcards, looking at my small supply and seeing if I have something that fits into that category. If I don't, then I certainly will look and see maybe what their hobbies are, or maybe what they do for work, or what part of the world they're in, or maybe I try to choose something from my region to represent, because I certainly love to show off things that come from Atlantic Canada or Canada in general. So very proud to be Canadian and Atlantic Canadian. So I try to send something that way. So if I don't have the perfect card for what they're asking for, if they say they like Harry Potter and I don't have a Harry Potter card, I try to find something that is either representative of a hobby they have. If they're into sewing, maybe I have a postcard that has a sewing machine on it, or what have you. Pineapples, I try to find something like that. Otherwise, I choose something from my region to represent and tell them about it. As far as someone sending the exact same card to every person that they get, I guess the person that's receiving it doesn't know that someone else has gotten the exact same card. Maybe they come from a region that doesn't have a lot of postcards and a limited supply on what they can buy. But I think maybe if you really want more postcards, you can find a way. You can go onto Amazon or wherever and buy boxes of postcards of different themes. They're out there. But I understand too that people have a limited budget, and maybe the best thing to do is that if you have a picture and you can create the card, then you can create new cards all the time. So yeah, some people do send the same card, and it might be boring for them too to send that same card out. I don't know. So I can't judge on what someone's situation happens to be, whether it's a financial concern that they can't buy other postcards, or maybe they don't have them readily available where they are, or they just are more concerned that if they're sending out the same postcard, it's not going to the same person every time, so nobody else knows what it is. So I don't know. I certainly like it if people are there and being creative, and there are tons of creative people. So when people say I don't like handmade cards, that's not the case with me, because I've seen some beautiful handmade cards that are better than anything that I've ever been able to buy in the shop. So if someone puts their heart and soul into creating something that's perfect for you, then appreciate it when it arrives in the mail. That's what I've got to say. All right, so thank you, Yulia, for that question. The next one, I don't know if it's a question. It's not a question. It's from the Littlest Hobo. She is in St. Stephen, New Brunswick. We'll get a chance, hopefully, to see her at the park thing that's going on that I'm not going to talk about again, right now anyways. And she says that she's coming to this thing that's happening at the park that has something to do with postcrossing, when people get together and share ideas and do things like that and have cards. And she said she was hoping in her question last week that I'd pick Plinko. So it was it's just so satisfying to play, even if you lose. And she says she likes the whale stamps too. Those are the new stamps that have come out in the last 6 weeks or so. So yeah, beautiful whale stamps of the endangered species that are around in Canada. And also Plinko, as far as a Price is Right game, was the game that I chose for the game that I'd most likely to play. And she is right. It's very satisfying to put that disc down and hear go tick, 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 down into whatever category of denomination happens to be at the end. If it's the $1,000 one, that's great. If it's the $1 one, that's so great, but still very satisfying noise. All right, that's it for my questions. I thought there was more actually than that, but I saw on there that it said 8, but it was the 4 questions plus the 4 responses I had saying thank you for sending me a question. All right, so those of you who didn't send a question this week but said, oh, I was going to ask, or I was going to do this, leave your comment now on this video, and next week I'll get around to answering it. So that's great. I need to get prepared now, get this video out to you guys so you can see it, and then prepare for that thing that's happening in Centennial Park today between 1 and 4 that involves postcrossing and people who like postcrossing to get together in a meetup fashion. Whatever you want to call that, that's what we're doing today, 1 to 4 at Centennial Park here in Moncton. And there are others that are happening in the next couple days in Nova Scotia and PEI. We may have talked about this before, so whew, I'm excited. I got to get some things together. I've got my mind racing. I didn't sleep a whole lot last night, but I think maybe it's because I was excited about going to this thing today, and so I want to put all my stuff together that I'm going to take down to it. There is a chance that it's going to rain this afternoon, so I got to prepare a little bit for that as well, but hopefully it won't dampen the spirits of those that are coming. It's still going to be fun to get together. There's still gazebos and things that should protect us, and you can always dry off after. So I'm going to bring some Ziploc bags to put my postcards and things in so they are protected just in case. And yeah, I'm going to keep making a video, because when this video is done, I'm going to start working on the next video that's going to be about that event. So you'll get a chance to see my first meetup. Did I say it together? It's that word. That's what I'm doing. So there's going to be a video about that. Cat's out of the bag. You probably never heard that before. But if this is the first time you've watched one of my videos, it is the first time you've heard this before. So meetup today, Centennial Park, 1 to 4. Be there if you can. All right. For those of you who enjoy this video, it's over. You'll have to wait till next week to see another one. So not another video, but another That Dad Guy Answers video. Leave your questions below and I will answer them next week. Bye-bye. Stay safe. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?